It's my pleasure to welcome all of you for Global Leadership Network Masterclass. As we get into lesson 10, Redefining Leadership, it has been a journey. I am sure all of us, we are becoming better as we continue with this kind of interactions. And I trust that even as we focus today on redefining leadership, it will be an experience that all of us will appreciate. And I just want to indicate that at the end of the session today, we'll be discussing briefly about group projects, and then we'll be able to chat the way forward. Otherwise, allow me just to say a prayer, and then we kick on. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we are grateful for the opportunity again to be able to hang out with these leaders. And as we discuss the issues of leadership, we are praying that God continue to work on us, continue to mold us, continue to transform us from inside out, and let there be manifestation of what we are learning, even in the practical area, in our fields, wherever we are leading. We are praying that, Lord, there will be clear distinction of how we want, how we are now, and the experience that we are bringing on board by the knowledge that we are learning. We are praying this night that may you help us to experience an in-depth understanding and transformation as we continue. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. So we walked the journey quite well. I believe we can remember the experience we had last Saturday. We looked at lesson 9, and we looked at the roles of a leader. So there were 4 distinct roles of a leader. Maybe we can just do a recap. Any that you can remember, just either on the chat or just unmute and mention. We discussed about 4 roles. Actually, there were more than 4, but 4 were a bit distinct. So what were the roles of a leader from the last discussion, just to jog our mind and just to set the pace as we engage tonight? The roles of a leader, they not necessarily in the order, but what you can remember from the last session. So if you can do the chat, well and good. If you can unmute and just mention as you say hi to the team, that will also be okay. So let's do a recap on that. Roles of a leader. That was our subject last Saturday. So what came out clearly from that discussion? So any volunteer, either on the chat or you can just unmute and mention roles of a leader. Yeah, so the chat. Yes, Mary. Mary, you can proceed. Mary. Yes, Mary, good evening.
Yes. Good evening to you.
Yeah, karibu.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Mary, quite well.
Okay. One is to inspire trust. Because when you're dealing with a group of people and you actually need them to be part of your mission and vision, they have to also depend on you, and you also are supposed to be able to tap on their potential. So if they trust you as a leader, then you will not have how can I say it, any kind of negativity coming out from the people that you're leading. The other one that I got is communicating openly. And communicating openly, that means that Do not give instructions that you yourself you cannot follow, and also be willing to listen and get further opinions or alternative options from the people that you're leading. So having an open-ended kind of communication with your people will enable you to get to where you're heading. Avoid monitor them, give them the steps, and see how they can do it without actually telling them, no, this is wrong. Maybe they have a reason of why they have selected that option. So instead of micromanaging, let us just give them an open platform for them to be able to even show their potential.
Wow. Thank you, Mary. That has come out very clear. Very clear. As we deal with the team, as we deal with the I think the issue of inspiring trust is critical and is the core. Otherwise, you might have a very good vision, a very good mission, and then we miss in terms of implementation because it's team, and then communication. And I like the idea of open-ended communication. That's actually what drives innovation. That's what drives innovation. There's one source of innovation, we call it a user innovation or open innovation. And vis-a-vis closed innovation. Closed innovation comes from the boardroom and maybe from research, but open innovation comes from just the people themselves, interacting with them and adopting what Mary have mentioned, an open-ended mode of communication so that you're able to learn from the people. So thank you so much, Mary. Maybe we can take one more and then we'll proceed with today's session. So roles of a leader from the last discussion, we can take one more comment and then we'll be able to move on. On the chat, okay, on the chat I can see Richard. Yeah, thank you, Richard, I've noted that. So one more contribution. Yeah, thank you, Fred. So any more contribution in addition to what Mary has shared? Okay, so I think let's just do the same on the chat. So whatever you can recall from the roles of a leader, you can share, even if it's additional information, that will be good. We should lead change and lead by example. That's what Mary you are commenting on. Again, remember we said a leader creates innovation or captures a vision, sorry. A leader creates the vision, innovates the vision. And we said you can use a team approach or you can use what we call the Sinai approach, where you're able to conceive and then you bring the team together. So, and the issue of strategy, because again, as much as you're forecasting, you need a journey, you need a process. So executing the strategy, developing the strategy so that you're able to lead the people on the how we are going to get to what we are seeing. What Mary has mentioned, the issue of inspiring trust is also a critical role of a leader. And then finally, as Mary have also mentioned, coach potential. Coach potential, that's very important because we are looking at long term. We're looking at issues of transition and how to maintain the organization for many years. So coaching potential, positioning people appropriately is critical. Good, so let's continue engaging on the chat. Feel free to share your takeaway, your take home or your outstanding points as we engage on today's session. And then we'll be able to read through and see what is coming out. So we are talking about redefining leadership. Redefining leadership. I know all of us have heard about this topic in many perspectives, in many forums, but I will just walk through and look at how do we redefine leadership in the context of Global Leadership Network. As we take the journey through other authors and other leaders who have discussed or written about this topic. So we'll just walk through the journey and see at the end of it all what comes out clearly from the various definitions that are out there. But before that, you can see these two soldiers guarding a bench. This is a story about how traditions are born and sustained. And maybe as you look at this story, think about your organization or think even about just your own life and try to relate with this story and see if there is any aspect that replicates in your context. So it happened that a new camp commander was appointed. So, and when the commander came, took a tour just to inspect the base, and he saw these two soldiers guarding a bench. So he went over there and asked them, why are you guarding the bench? And they said, we don't know, because the last commander told us to do so, and so we did. And in some sort, it's a regimental tradition. So we just continued from the previous regime. So he searched for the last commander's phone number, called him to ask him why he instructed the guards to guard this bench. And again, that command also said, I don't know. The previous commander had guards, and I kept the tradition. So going back another 3 commanders, he found a now commander was 100 years old, already retired. So he asked him again, excuse me, sir, I'm now the commander of your camp that you commanded 60 years ago. I found 2 men assigned to guard a bench. Could you please tell me more about the bench? The commander was surprised and he said, what? Is the paint still wet? Is the paint still wet? So basically, this commander who was retired, who was now 100 years old, instructed some 2 soldiers to guard a bench because at that particular time, the bench was wet. But the other commanders came and sustained the tradition, even without now understanding what was the source of what was the purpose of guarding this bench. The purpose clearly from the story that it was wet, but the others lost it along the way. So they just adapted to what was going on. And this is part of how organizations maintain traditions. Traditions are good, especially if they are productive, if they are helping the organization to achieve the intended results. But again, knowing when to shift is important. So as we walk through this lesson, think about this story and think about your organization. Are there regimental traditions that exist in your organization? If you scan through, are there some traditions that might look similar to what we are discussing? Not really exactly, but in a way, probably they might look similar to what we are discussing today. Just think about that as we walk through the journey together. Okay, so as we redefine leadership, I want to start with this question. Who, in terms of a leader, would you be willing to follow? Just one quality of a leader that you feel, if I see this quality in a leader, then I will willingly work together with that leader, or follow that leader, or work together with that leader. Already, probably you have seen a leader that has that kind of a quality, and you already follow that leader. So it might be something that is already happening, or it might be a quality that you feel, wow, this is one of the qualities that I feel is the most important to me in a leader that I can willingly, or I am willingly following. Let me take just a sample. One quality that you feel is critical, just share on the chat. Just one quality. that you feel, wow, this is the most important quality that I treasure in a leader, or in a leader that I can willingly follow. Just one quality. Share on the chat. Strong desire to improve lives of people under him. Yeah. Strong desire to improve lives of people under him. Thank you, Edwin. So that basically we are saying a leader who can empower, disciplined, and also selfless. That's from Frank, Mr. Sava. Bold. Yeah, bold. A leader who is able to make decisions. A leader who is decisive. Richard, you are saying accountability. A leader who is honest and accountable. And Mary, you are saying a dynamic leader. Dynamic leader. I don't know if some of you attended the forum last Saturday, and we discussed about leading in a VUCA world. And these are some of the very important qualities, especially when it comes to issues of a dynamic leader. We shared the issue of Nokia, how Nokia was knocked out of market. And it was a very sad story to tell, even for the CEO. So dynamic leader, accountable, leader who is bold to face off what is not working and probably appreciate and adapt to what is working. So those are very important qualities. And therefore, we look at various definitions of leadership. And then from that, we have come up with 11 dimensions of a leader or leadership. So as a leader, I need to look at these 11 dimensions, and they are intrinsic in a way. So it's not something that you can really delegate. It's something that you have to grow in you, something that I have to develop in me to ensure that I am somehow a balanced leader. So 11 dimensions, that is what we're going to look at. And we're starting with the first one, the topic that an area that we have discussed from the very beginning, self-leadership. So the first dimension of a leader or a global leader is a leader who is able to lead self. Because we are saying leadership is first personal, then public. First personal, then public. Very important. Before I become a leader in the public domain, it means I've been able to develop the leader in me. And I've been able to develop the qualities in me that gives me that space to be able to create influence and to be able to have people who are willing to work together with me along that journey. So it's the issue of personal discovery. We have talked about awareness from the very beginning, then being able to tap into the potential, into the strengths, the giftings, the natural ability, the talent, the skills that we possess. That gives us some level of influence, which ushers us to that element, or what the dimension we are calling self-leadership. So self-leader, a very important dimension. And Professor Dr. Mohammed gave out an introduction that I really like. It's inclusive, and it has captured very important components that a leader needs to watch out for. And according to him, leadership is a function of what? First is about understanding myself. And that comes with the issues of awareness, what we have talked about. So knowing myself, having a vision is birthed from that process. Then you communicate that vision well, being able to communicate the vision well. Then from that, you build trust among the team, and you take effective action to realize your own leadership potential. And I would add, as you help others also untap or discover and unleash their own potential. So that's a very, very important definition of leadership as we look at the issue of personal leadership. And Lolly Daskal, the most effective way to lead is to lead from within. That's the element of self-leadership. So Warren Bennis, again, on the same issue of personal leadership, birthing the leader within you before getting into the public leadership. He says that no leader sets out to be a leader. So people set out to live their lives, expressing themselves fully. And then when that expression is of value, they become leaders. So people are able to see value. They're able to they're able to learn from you. They're able to see change. They're able to experience change. Then you become a leader. So the point is not to become a leader. The point is to become yourself, to use your resources or to use yourself completely, or your skills, your gifts, your energies, in order to make your vision manifest. So you must withhold nothing. You must in some become the person you started out to be, and to enjoy the process of becoming. Yeah, this is another very interesting definition, especially when you're looking at issues of self-leadership. So true leaders do not set out to be leaders. Actually, they set out just to be able to express themselves, to serve what they have. And that expression ushers them to the position of leadership. So we are saying leadership is first personal, then public. Being in a position to develop some qualities, to have the discipline to tap into what I have, to develop what I have, that creates an environment where I can inspire and be able to influence other leaders or other people and help them to be able to make their lives also successful. So the first dimension is self-leadership. The second dimension of a leader is servanthood. This is just the natural feeling that one has a responsibility to serve. Servanthood. And we have talked about this quite often. Robert Cliff, he says that the servant leader is servant first. Servant leader is servant first, and then leader. So it begins with a natural feeling that one wants to serve first, then conscious choice brings one to aspire to lead. And maybe even not just aspire to lead, it ushers the person to the space to lead. So that person is sharply different from the one who is leader first. So for a servant leader, is about serving first, then leadership comes in process as a byproduct of our service. And JF Kennedy, the 35th president of US, he said, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what your country can do. Ask what you can do for your country. So this is the mindset of a servant leader, wherever we are, at the organization, at home, at any area that you are leading. A servant leader will always be looking for opportunity to serve, not to be served. Yeah, so I captured this differently, and I said, ask not what others can do for you, but ask what you can do for others. That's the mindset of a servant leader, always trying to look for opportunities to serve it, to be able to initiate that process of serving and filling a gap. So servanthood is the second dimension. The third dimension is leadership is a lifestyle. So I take leadership to be a lifestyle, which is every day's business and everyone's business. So James Stroke says that everyone can lead because everyone can serve. So this is a responsibility that everyone needs to take it up, because at whatever area you will find that we are leaders in different spaces. I always like using the example of a car. Just check a car in the bonnet there. We have different components. We have a battery, we have the terminals, we have the let me call it the engine, and so all of those components. But do you know, if we remove the terminal, that car cannot move? Yeah, that car cannot move. As much as the engine might still be intact, very strong, very powerful, but the terminal, if it's removed, the engine cannot move. So basically we are saying that every person or every component is very important. And in the context of an organization, we always want people to appreciate that regardless of your position, wherever you are playing a critical role. So if you're just serving tea, if you're just making you're cleaning the office, that's your domain. That's your domain. And the person who is the head of the organization, as much as he's doing the strategic roles, he requires that person that is doing the support services. And that makes the person providing support services feel important and appreciated. And it also makes the person who is the head of organization also appreciate that he cannot be able to do without that particular person. So everybody is core. And that's why we are saying, in our domains, we are showing some level of leadership differently. And this is something that is democratized, that everyone needs to be able to serve. So it's a lifestyle, and it permits our lives in all areas, through actions, through our beliefs, through our values, through the attitude of a leader. So leadership is a lifestyle. I don't put it on and put it off. So we've seen in some cases, especially maybe in the political area, but also even in other areas, where some leaders are caught in some places which were not right, or were not proper. And some of them says they were in their own private time. But again, as much as you are in your own private time, you're still a leader. So it's always part and parcel of us. Number 4, we are saying leadership is coaching. So that ability to be able to position and empower others to function better and maximize the impact. And I think, Mr. Chege, you mentioned something related to this. So coaching. A leader is a coach. Yeah, he's a coach. So I'm able to understand my people. And that's why we had to look at that topic about self-awareness, looking at the color codes, looking at those different temperaments, so that I am able to understand the people from a point of knowledge, and then I'm able to position them. So coaching leadership style, a leader is directly involved in developing the people, developing their potential, either in helping them even to grow professionally. So a coaching leader will be able to help build the people based on their area of strength. So they recognize their weaknesses, and then they're able to improve their skills. So for a coach, they try to focus more on how to maximize your strength, and maybe how you need to manage the areas that you feel you are weak. How do you handle those areas, especially if there are areas that you may not really need to work on them in terms of the areas that you can delegate. Then how do you manage that? So coaching leader is a very important role of a leader when we are redefining these 11 dimensions of a leader. So good leaders position themselves, great leaders position others, but ultimate leaders empower others. So great leaders do not set out to be leaders, they set out to make a difference. And that's the very, very important concept when we are looking at a leader who is out to be able to offer coaching or to coach others. So before you are a leader, success is all about growing myself. But when I become a leader, success is all about growing others. We become more of others oriented. That's according to Jack Welch. So as we let our light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. That's according to Nelson Mandela. And that's the element of coaching. So we grow, and then we are able to either consciously or unconsciously be able to usher others to be able to tap into what they also have and serve it out. Leadership is coaching. Remember this quote by Mwai Kibaki, the third president. Leadership is a privilege to better the lives of others, not an opportunity to satisfy personal greed. So it's a privilege to be able to better the lives of others. And leadership is about making others better as a result of your presence. And then you ensure that impact lasts in a leader's or in your absence. So leaders become great not because of their power or their position, but because of their ability to be able to empower others. So that's John Maxwell, and I think this is a thinking that is very important when you're looking at the issues of coaching. And the greatest leader is not necessarily the one who does the greatest things, is the one that gets people to do the greatest things. That's Ronald Reagan, is a former president of the US. And then leadership is being able to unlock people's potential to become better. And Bill Gates says that as we look ahead into the next century, leaders will be those who empower others. Who will empower others. And that's how we maintain and sustain an organization. So leadership is about three things: to listen, to inspire, and to empower. And then finally, leadership is the ability to recognize the special abilities and limitation of others, combined with the capacity to set each one into the job where he or she will be able to do their best. So coaching is a core domain when it comes to issues of leadership. The fifth dimension, I'll take you up to the sixth, and then we'll pause there just to be able to reflect. So leadership is influence. We have talked about this quite often, and we look at just the thoughts of some of the leaders in this area. One of the leaders, Minty Gibbons, says that leadership is having a vision, then being able to share that vision, and inspiring others to support your vision while creating their own. So you are able to bring people to work with you, support your vision, but you're also trying to help them to be able to create their own. That's what we called previously ambidextrous leadership. So they are working on yours, but you're also helping them to be able to work on theirs. So a man without a vision for his future, or even an organization without a future for its future, will always return to its past. So the past becomes our prison if we lose foresight. And I think if you are with a leader who really doesn't forecast, doesn't give us foresight, then that's an alarming statement, because a leader will always try to forecast ahead. As much as we tap from the previous, we mine from the previous, but we're very cautious that we don't lose our momentum and our foresight. So effective leadership is providing the vision, and then you motivate the team so that they are able to work toward the same goal, then understanding their talents and temperaments of each individual, effectively motivating each one to contribute individually their best toward achieving the group goal. So influence, because influence is a result, we'll see this at the end. It's not something we set out to go, but it comes from as we work through, as we lead through. So if your action inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. You are able to influence the people. Then Dr. Miles Monroe, leadership is the capacity to influence others through inspiration. So we influence, but how do we do it? First, we are saying we are able to inspire. And that inspiration comes from a passion. And the passion comes from the understanding of a vision. And that vision makes us to be more convicted, and that conviction ignites a purpose. I think this is a very summarized way of putting leadership clearly in terms of how influence comes about. You're saying, I need to inspire because I'm very passionate to focus on a vision that I'm pursuing, and I'm convicted that this is the right thing to do, and I am doing it for a purpose. Then that kind of a person is able to influence. So leadership is influence, but comes from that clarity in terms of the vision. So a leader is the one who sees more than others see, who sees further than others see, and who sees before others sees. So that kind of a leader who is able to see and to be able to tell the story of the destination. Remember the journey of the children of Israel from from Egypt to Canaan. It was about foresight. That's what ignited them to embark on the journey. And I think every time you see we are losing momentum, we'll be very quick to see, are we really still seeing something that is inspiring, something that is giving us hope, a vision that is keeping us on track. Then number 6, leadership is a privilege. To serve and mentor more leaders. From the moment I took leadership to be a privilege, I think I started appreciating the positions of leadership or the opportunities of leadership more, appreciating them more, and also being more productive, being more focused in terms of making a change, making a difference, because I realized this is an opportunity. So when we make people understand that being in a position of leadership, it's a privilege. It's a privilege to be able to produce more leaders, not followers. And it's also a privilege because before we were leaders, then we were just thinking about ourselves. But when we are in that position of leaders, then we are able to focus on how do we grow others. So also you can relate this with a quote by the 3rd president of Kenya, Mwai Kibaki, when he said leadership is a privilege to be able to serve others. So we take it as an opportunity. You make the people that we are working with to realize this is an opportunity that we need to serve. And when we do that, then their mindset and our mindset is able to shift, and it no longer becomes a burden, especially in the voluntary setup of leadership. If people don't really take it as a privilege, then it can become more of a burden. So leadership is a privilege. I want to pause there before we get to number 7. We are talking about the 11 dimensions of leadership. So we can reflect briefly, maybe for 5 minutes, and let me hear your thoughts. Let me hear your thoughts of the 6 dimensions that we have discussed. If you can be able to share some more insight, please, you can just maybe unmute and share, and maybe what is coming out strongly to you. What point do you feel like, wow, this is a point that I really want to impress, or maybe even an area that you feel you are maybe weak at, or you need to improve. Let me use that word. You need to improve. So just feel free to take any dimension as we discuss those 6 dimensions of a leader. Okay, so you can just unmute and just comment or just share on the chat. Whatever is okay with you, is convenient, just feel free to do. Okay, so who may want to go first?
Good evening, fellow leaders. How are you?
Yeah,
Can you hear
good
me?
evening. Good evening. We can hear you well.
There's something I was testing with my communication system.
Yes,
The
Mr.
one
Sava.
guardian face. Yes, you can hear me well.
Yeah, we
Hello?
can hear you well. We can hear you well, Mr. Sava.
All right, thank you. On the part of the lifestyle, what is coming to me is that a leader makes it his part and parcel of life every time, whether he is in public or whether he is out of the public domain. Whatever he does, that means if he is on the road, if he is out of the road, if he's in the house, wherever he is, it is part and parcel of himself. Has gone wrong for him or her to take an action. So in other words, you are a leader anywhere 24/7, whether it's at place of work, whether you are at home, whether you are wherever. Then another thing that I find in this lifestyle leadership leadership being a lifestyle, it means that, you know, you have taken yourself as a duty to whether you are a sweeper, you are a leader in that domain. Whether you are a cook, you know, it is a domain that is under you. So you carry your responsibility effectively to the best that you can. So this means you are not being monitored. You are not a person who has to watch over his or her shoulders to see whether there's somebody watching over him or her. You are carrying your responsibility with the dedication. So you are actually a leader by your conscience. You are led by, this is right, I have to take it in the best that I can. A leader it is just in your mind that over to you, Malim.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Asava. Yeah, that's you've really brought it very clear. Making it a lifestyle is that at any time, at any point, that consciousness of I'm a leader is always active. So if there is something that requires someone to take initiative, you will always be there, because consciously, that's why we talked about the issue of the mindset, that my mind is set, that leadership is a lifestyle. So nothing can go wrong when I'm there. It may not be my area, but as long as I'm there, and there's an opportunity for me to take an action, the right action, that I'll be able to go on and take the action. So thank you so much, Mr. Sava, for just reinforcing that point. We can take maybe one more or two more comments. Can take two more, either unmute and share, or just share on the chat, whatever channel that you are comfortable with. Okay, so we can take one more. One more.
Hello, fellow leaders.
Hello.
You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you well.
Okay. My take is on a fifth dimension, that leadership is influence, and influence through the passion and generated by vision, produced by a conviction, and ignited by a purpose. Basically, sums up everything for a leader. And I would like to put it in perspective to the future of my because I'm a person who deals with customers on a daily basis. And like, I give an example of an organization like in retail industry, whereby a company or an organization gives you targets for every month. That is, it's up to you and your team to meet those targets. So there is this aspect of influence through inspiration by the organization to you. It comes down now to the leader to be able now to influence the team members to have a common goal in achieving what has been set by the organization. And I'm seeing the leadership that your team really look up for your inspiration, because maybe the goals that have been set up by the organization to the team, it may seem unreachable and unattainable. But if you inspire them and you influence them through your inspiration and also passion to excel and a passion to perform exemplary well. I think this plays a major role in meeting the obligations and also your vision towards like meeting your goals, maybe on a daily basis or on a monthly basis. So I'm looking at this dimension number 5 as really, really very critical to my field of expertise. And it's a wake-up call, especially to the part of conviction and also ignition by a purpose, which now awakens my sense in that I need to be a very purposeful person and also have a clear vision and also inspire so as to influence my team to achieve the set out goals and obligation. So to me, dimension number 5 is quite really encouraging and very elaborate. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Frank. Sammy, can proceed. Sammy, I saw your hand was raised. Also on the chat, Richard, you're saying self must die. Your life is about success of others. Other people become other people. Life becomes your business. It's all not about you, but others. And you know, as much as this sometimes looks more of so much of outward looking, but I think that's the core. Even in the business world, you're serving customers, so you're always very keen to know what are the needs of my customers. What new products are customers looking for? What improvements? And that's the thinking also of a leader, because you're dealing with the people, and we can say in a way, people are really your customers, because without them, then there is no people to be able to usher and to be able to lead. So Richard, you put it quite clearly. We become very well in terms of focusing on equipping others. Some you're just saying, I was just clapping for that contribution. Wow, thank you. But a leader being a servant stands out for me. So we'll the rest, I think, as we get to the end, we'll also have another time to reflect on the remaining points. So let's just move on. But I think having this as our mindset, informing, because we are shaping our mindset on issues of leadership. These 11 dimensions will shape our mindset. So this is how we think about leadership. Then that informs how we lead, because our mindset is informed by these issues, these 11 dimensions, in addition to other the other contents that we've been able to share. So it shapes us, it guides us in terms of the quality of leadership that we are offering, and also how we are able to reflect the kind of leadership that we are offering out there. So let's look at number 7. And number 7 is leadership is becoming your best at your craft. It's the mastery. And I think this is when it comes to maybe in the formal employment, or where someone is using a skill, is applying a skill, then that becomes very important because you're able to sharpen yourself until you become influential. If you're an accountant, you realize maybe even you are mentoring many other accountants because of how you've been able to master your craft. If you are an IT person, then the passion, the commitment, the mastery of your craft then distinguishes you. And you're able to even lead a department because you've been able to distinguish yourself in the issues of mastering your craft, mastering your skill, that skill that you have developed professionally, or even through personal development. Martin Luther puts this very well, and this is one quote that I really like reinforcing. in our discussions that if a man is called to be a street sweeper, he should sweep streets even as Michelangelo painted, or Beethoven composed music, or Shakespeare wrote poetry. These are people that we always relate to these areas. As the moment you talk about poetry, then this Shakespeare comes to mind because he did exemplary work in that area. So he should sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will pause to say, here lived a great street sweeper who did his job well. This is mastery. It's not about the role, but it's how well do I serve in that role. And that's why I think he chose to use maybe the roles that might look very low in society. Being a street sweeper, it might look low, but if that street sweeper is able to do his or her role well, then the whole host of heaven can pause and celebrate that work. So I think for Global Leadership Masterclass, this is key, that there has to be a distinct difference in terms of how we serve, in terms of how we perceive not just the role, but that responsibility, that task ahead of us. Remember the story about JFK and the janitor. JFK and the janitor. The janitor, how he looked at what he was doing, and he was able not just to define it in terms of the role, in terms of the mopping, the cleaning, but he looked at the organization vision and mission, and he could tell, I'm sweeping, yes, but it's all about the putting a man in the moon. So that, I'm sure that kind of a person will be able to do his work quite well, and I can get to this kind of level that we are discussing in this quote by Martin Luther. Again, Dr. Griffin, the former director of Starehe Boys Center, he says, if you are given a coffee cup to wash it better than it has ever been washed. So remember this, it's not about the craft, it's about how well we undertake the craft. It's not about the role, but it's about how well we undertake the role. So this is important for us, and also very important just to be able to let the leaders that we are working with appreciate this. I've seen people who have raised through the ranks. Some of them started from very low level, but because of this kind of thinking, they've been able to rise. Some of them were just maybe cleaning or cleaners. They became support staff. So they became clerks. They became maybe even heads of department by maybe equipping themselves in particular areas. And I was looking at the story of the current president of Tanzania. It's a very humbling story, but she was able to rise through the ranks. So it's not really about the role, but how we perceive the role and how we are able to undertake it. So leadership is becoming the best at your craft. 8, we are saying leadership is becoming an agent of hope. A leader is someone that is able to ignite hope regardless of the situation. Remember the story about Jesus and the 5,000 or more than 5,000 people in the desert, in a desert or a deserted place, far away from the village, far away from the town. And after some days, people were hungry and they needed food. And this was a scenario where a leader was required, because all the other leaders, the only option they had was to send the people to the village to get food. And maybe these people were very weak, they were very hungry. Even walking that journey again would be an issue. But Jesus was able to take charge, create a sense of hope, and challenge the disciples to be able to offer the food. And I always say, when you create an environment of hope, an environment of soberness, then people are able to bring solutions on the table. The bread and the fish was amongst the people. And when Jesus was able to challenge them and create that environment that we can feed these people, then I am sure they started asking themselves, what do we have? What do we have? And from that, they were able to see, wow, we have something. It may not be enough, but maybe if we present it to the leader, the leader will come up with a strategy, and all these people will be able to eat. And it happened. And even there was excess. So a leader is an agent of hope. And that hope is able to help people deliver, help people look in a positive side of the story. And according to Napoleon, he says a leader is a dealer in hope. Is a dealer in hope. That's the business that we are in. So leaders instill in their people a hope for success and a belief in themselves. A hope for success and a belief in themselves that you can be able to do it. And that the positive leaders empower people to accomplish their goals. So let people have that hope in themselves, the positive belief in themselves, also the positive belief in the vision, and also the positive belief in the leader or in the leadership. So when you create such kind of an environment, then you realize you have a vibrant team and a team that is able to achieve much. Number 9, leadership is character. Remember the iceberg leadership development model? We had the tip of the iceberg, 10 to 20%, and that's why we had the skills, the knowledge, the experience, and then down the 80 to 90%, the core of the iceberg is where we have those intrinsic value. And one of the intrinsic value was character. That is what can sink a leader. Character is what can sink a leader. And this is a very important dimension, because successful leadership is not about being tough or soft or sensitive or assertive, but it's about this attribute which Warren Bennis has pointed out. First and foremost, it's all about character. Again, Samsel puts it this way, that character is the foundation, the firm foundation stone upon which one must rise or build to win respect. So just as no worthy building can be erected on a weak foundation, so no lasting reputation worthy of respect can be built on a weak character. So when the character is weak, then it doesn't matter how high we rise, the foundation will always be shaky. Maybe one day, the whole structure will come down. That's why we are very keen on this, so that whatever we are building it on a firm foundation. And I want to say, character, it can be an issue of an attitude. It can be an issue of hidden cards, where I am using people for my own gains, intentionally, I know, or where I'm just manipulating people, where I'm not being fair, where I'm not just, where those very tiny, if I can call them that way, tiny issues. There are times that we look at those big issues and we tend to think that those people who are doing those big issues are the ones that are having a character defects. But even those tiny issues that we are dealing with, they are very important, and they are part and parcel of character. So let's look at it from that dimension. John says no man can climb out beyond the limitation of his own character. And again, Stephen Covey, in the last analysis, what we communicate or what we are communicates far more eloquently than anything we say or do. What we are communicates more eloquently than what we say or what we do. So let's just think about this and remember that this is the foundation. And a good character is more to be praised than outstanding talent, because most talents, at some extent, are gift, but when it comes to issues of good character, is not given to us, but we have to build it piece, by thought, by choice, by courage, and also by determination, according to John Luger. So remember this, very important, that this is something or an area that we need to watch out for, work on it deliberately, so that we don't sink the whole boat. Again, as we look at this other quote, leadership is the capacity and will to rally men and women to common purpose, and the character which inspires confidence. So remember that as we look at the issues of character, we are dealing with the foundation, and we are dealing with an area that cannot be delegated, but an area that we can only take the mandate, the role. Character is the one that gives us true success, because I always say success is a feeling. Success is an inside experience. It's not really an outward experience. It's an inside experience. In the last moments of our lives here, when we are down, or when you are old and you just probably feeling maybe I'm getting to the end of my life, that experience, that feeling is what will really be telling us, have we been successful or not successful? So public success and private success. Private success is an issue of character, which is key. The 10th dimension, as we close, we are saying leadership is transformation. Leadership is transformation. Transformational leadership. Just want to highlight that transformational leadership is about these 4 areas. It's about that ability of a leader to move the people beyond the immediate self-interest, or beyond the immediate or short-term interest, to be able to stretch them to the long-term interests. And they do that through these 4 areas, what we call idealized influence. Basically, we are saying being purpose-driven, being a role model, and being a leader who walks the talk. So that's how transformational leaders are able to lead. 2, we are saying the issue of inspirational motivation. So they inspire, they're able to create an environment where they inspire through the passion and through the clarity in terms of the vision. So transformational leader, again, they lead through individualized consideration. They're able to deal with a person at an individual level. So they're people driven. They have genuine concerns for the people and for their needs. And then lastly, intellectual stimulation. They provoke, they invoke the mind to innovate. So they're innovative, and they challenge the people to be more innovative and also creative. So these are issues of the elements of a transformational leader. And this is the 10th dimension. And then finally, the 11th dimension of a global leader, or just a leader, is saying they're strategic. They're strategic. So they think strategic. They think strategically. They plan strategically. And strategic leadership is just the ability of the leader to determine the future, the issue of the vision, future course of action, and also the direction, or the processes, or the channels, or that the organization can embrace to be able to get to that vision. And also motivating others to contribute to their efforts in terms of accomplishing this vision. So this is a strategic leader, and you see from the triangle, they are at the apex. So for strategic leader, they provide direction, that is purpose, vision for the organization, getting strategy and policy right, strategic thinking, they organize and reorganize. They also release the corporate spirit, that is the energy, the morale, the values, relate the organization to wider environment. Those are issues of partnership, stakeholders engagements, creating alliances, and then they develop today and tomorrow's leaders. They think about succession planning and the long-term view. So in summary, these are the 11 dimensions of a global leader, or just any leader: self-leader, servanthood, lifestyle, coaching, influence, privilege, mastery, agent of hope, character, strategy, and then a transformer. So in summary, we are saying some of the common elements that have come out from the definitions of leadership is that a leader has to walk through the journey of self-awareness and personal development. The vision and purpose must be clear. Influence must be through inspiration, not manipulation. And that is what creates passion that is able to inspire others. Then effective communication, where people are able to follow willingly, is core. Coaching is also very important for a leader. Then character, which is the foundation. And then a leader, basically we are saying the issues of coordinating and balancing the conflicting interests of the people that we are leading is important. You remember we talked about a leader must be able to help people to motivate them to help him accomplish a vision, but also help them to also understand their own vision and to be able to pursue or accomplish their own vision. So the ambidextrous leadership that we talked about. So the process, leadership development process, starts from self-knowledge, self-awareness, and then you refine that. That is able to help you connect to a purpose in life, a cause that you're able to have a cause for your life, something that is so important to you, and something that add value to your life and to the people around you. And through that, you're able to capture a vision, and that vision is able to ignite a passion in you. Then that, through the vision, through the passion, you're able to inspire others and motivate them. And then that is when influence comes in. So influence comes at the base, at the end. And I think this is a shift. Most of the times we have been saying leadership is influence, but I think we needed to walk through this journey to appreciate that influence is actually the last result, just like the last stage. There are many other stages that comes before you are able to influence the people and you're able to lead them. So this definition is what we started with, and I just want to close by saying we influence, especially as Global Leadership Network, through inspiration by becoming our authentic self. So authenticity. I haven't put it in the dynamics, but authenticity is critical. So we become ourselves, becoming as authentic to self, so that we maximize our own potential. That helps us to look at what we have, serve our purpose, to positively impact humanity and help the people to do the same. So basically, we can summarize by saying leadership is authenticated by service, and the 11 dimensions that we have mentioned today. So just want to challenge you in this challenge, that look, reflect on those dimensions, and maybe try to check the areas that you feel you need to improve on, you need to work on. Out of the 11 dimensions, which one do you feel you need to put more effort in so that you can be able to improve in your leadership? Good. So are we together up to there, leaders? Are we good up to there? I hope you're able to follow through. Maybe you can just give me an indication just to know we are flowing together. So that's the end of lesson 10. Lesson 10. From this point forward, the lessons are a bit long. Actually, we'll not be able to tackle 2 lessons. We'll just be tackling 1 lesson. Good. So Mary, you're saying, yes, we are together. We are together. Maybe you can take one reflection, just one reflection because of time, because I need to mention something about the project proposal. So anybody who may want to share a reflection at this point. Yes, Mary, welcome, and just share your reflection.
From today's class, and I have seen most of these dimensions for leadership, they're actually intertwined. Because if you look at dimension 7, that is you're supposed to test in your craft. And from the initial diagram that you had showed us about the guardian active, what I take from today's lesson is that we need to be a know why kind of leaders, not a know how. We are working with, let's say, for in an organization, we are working with policies and regulations, which, but now things, policies were implemented in the year 1983, and right now we're in the year 2021. So most of these policies might not apply. And for you to be able to also look at those policies as a strategy. Now, I work in a financial institution, so if you bring a loan from police, it's okay. It's not all, you not need to provide all documents. just a few, but you'll find that the loan form wants you to put a copy of your ID, your KRA PIN, some details which you don't even need, because if you already have this information in the system, what you only need is maybe the employment details and maybe their payslip, because those are the only things which are key when you're applying for a loan application. So when you look at dimension 7, it also goes hand in hand with a dynamic leader or a leader who is transformational. So you don't ask it, and they didn't ask why. They just went with what they were provided. Yeah.
Yeah.
So all in all, we should be a know why leader, not a know how.
Yeah, true, Mary. And I think that's the space of leaders. The space of leaders is it's in the why. It is in the why. So that why, and what you mentioned even from the your previous comment, the open-ended kind of a setup is critical. I just remember the story of Nokia. I always like checking on that story because so many companies have become victim of this rapid change that is happening. And again, I think one thing that we also need to remember that it's not about us, it's about the people that we are serving. So if a customer gets someone who is able to serve them well, conveniently, then they will have no option than shifting to that particular person. You know, there are times we hold on to our processes so dearly until we forget that's not about us. It's about the people that we are serving. So, as much as we need to put safeguards, but again, we need to draw the line, I'm sure Nokia, they were putting all the necessary safeguards, but unfortunately they lost the war. They lost it. By the time they were realizing it's gone, they were no longer in business. And if you watched or if you read the last statement, he said, we didn't do anything wrong, but we lost it. That's true. And that's true even from what Mary was saying. You might be doing everything right. And then you realize you just lost it. You lost it because the world has shifted and you're still sticking to your own processes, your own procedures, and even people have shifted. There's a time I remember when I was still at the Ministry of East African Community, I had a discussion with the PS and I told her, the current CS of industrialization, CS Betty Maina, I told her there's, as much as we are communicating through memo, that's not where the real information is flowing. People are communicating freely on the social media. What we are getting in the memo is very filtered information. And I was just encouraging her to join some of the social network that we were using at our workplace. And she joined the WhatsApp for the organization. And she started realizing people were really commenting so much, and she could flash out something. Maybe someone points out the issue of office space, and she's able to take it up and just put a comment. Admin, can you take note of this comment and act on it? And people are very happy that the PS has come to where they are, not physically, but in terms of the social arena. And she was connected with the people. And that created another shift. People started appreciating the PS can come to where we are in terms of the communication. So, and she was informed. So there is so much shift. And I think what we need to remember is that it's not about us, it's about the people. So we might have very dear processes, very dear systems that we feel these ones we can't let go. Let's remember Nokia was there and they didn't do anything wrong, but they were knocked out of the business. So this is something that really is a big lesson to us, so that we are very keen to evaluate. And I think I saw something about Intercontinental Hotel. So I think that the times we are in, they really require a dynamic leader, as we indicated in the beginning, so that we are very quick to scan what is happening and align ourselves. So I just felt I just need to add to what Mary has commented. We can take one more comment, and then I'll be able to take you through the project proposal. One more comment. These comments are very important because they are deepening what we have discussed, and also they help to bring another perspective in the discussion. So any comment that we can have just from one more participant?
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mwangi.
Yeah, if you can allow me, I can make a comment.
Please proceed.
Yeah, last night I was watching a segment from KTN News, and it was about who was being presented is the one heading the Kenya Deposit Insurance Corporation. And this corporation was a department at the Central Bank of Kenya. And this CEO was the head of that department, Central Bank. So he moved out with that department. Now, during the interview, one of the key things that I learned from him is that he was asked, do you lead from the front or do you lead from the back? And the response he gave was that he is people driven, and therefore he chooses to lead, is able to, is one of the key things that he makes him so passionate about leadership. It is a 360-degree leader. And therefore, in our GLN, it is important to appreciate that the dimensions that we have learned today, they are key dimensions that would make you a 360-degree leader, and you'll be able to move on. The other thing is that a leader is not, there are certain things that we normally say they are not leader. You are expected to be compatible with all the principles around. So let us continue learning the good qualities of a leader so that we are able to move people around. Let us be centered and be people driven so that as we try to remove or what do we call it? The potential that is in us, to give it out even as we continue to learn. So it is a good that we are getting encouraged to keep on removing or working on our potential that is hidden in us so that we may become better leaders. And therefore, as we move on with this topic of leadership, mine is to encourage you as leaders who are coming up to be motivated, to have that we shall be potential that is already built in us. I was impressed by that CEO when he said that he has a passion to lead from the center because he's people driven. And here it is about developing leadership or developing followers to become better than we are. So that was my take, or rather that is my take to tonight in today's lesson. Hello, Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Mwangi.
I'm done, eh?
Okay,
yes, I'm done, eh?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the input. And that's a practical scenario from the industry. So leaders, we will now be moving on to start our discussion on our project proposal. So we'll put you in the groups. In I think we'll have 2 groups so that we can have 3. So sometimes 2 are a bit few. You need to do some research. So it's good to have at least a team of 3 so that you are able to share the tasks. So what is expected from the project proposal? It's a very simple concept. One, you need to do a scan of our environment, environmental scan. And as you scan the environment, it can be within your organization, it can be within the community. So we'll be looking at what are the challenges in the communities, what are the opportunities, what are the needs, and what are the gaps. Yeah, so what are the challenges, what are the opportunities, what are the needs, and what are the gaps? So that's what we'll be scanning for within our environment. You can take it in the context of an organization, or you can just take it in the context of the wider community. So that challenge, that opportunity, that gap, and that need will now be the area that you may want to focus on. Then you will come now to the other side, which is now the inner side. That is the side of you as a leader. So what potential do you possess? What strength, what ability, what gifts, or what capacity do you possess that you feel can be able to fit or can be able to respond to this challenge, to this opportunity, to this need, or to this gap? So that forms your project proposal. That forms your project proposal. Maybe you might undertake a SWOT analysis if that will help to be able to shape up your project. But we'll walk through this journey. This one quality that we'll appreciate is that we'll require a lot of reading, to require a lot of research. We need to do a lot of reading because we need very clear information in terms of references, maybe in terms of statistics, so that we are able to justify. If it's a problem, we are able to justify, not just with assumption, but with validated information. So this is the concept. This is the concept of the project proposal. So this is the format, the project proposal structure. So the background, a brief historical background about the area that you have identified. Has there other attempts in that particular area? Are there other proposals that have been done? And maybe what were the gaps? If they didn't work well, what were the challenges? Because we might need now to build on that. And then the problem statement. What problem are we dealing with? Here you need to quote some references. If a problem has been highlighted from a particular paper, or a particular document, a particular policy, it's good to refer. If you have statistics, then that will be good. And then the motivation or significance, what inspires you to undertake the research or have a project proposal in that particular domain. The objectives, maximum three objectives, because we need to address all the objectives. And then the methodology, how are we going to address this problem that we have identified? And then a budget and an action plan, then conclusion and recommendations. So for the methodology, you can talk about surveys. If we have time to do surveys, you can talk about existing data, just doing literature review, maybe interview or focus groups, or even benchmarking with other projects that have been undertaken, or even other countries that have undertaken projects in the same area. Some of the best practices and maybe some of the case studies that you can cite. So this will be a step-by-step. At the end, we'll have a project title, and we'll have a project summary, problem statement, motivation, the goals, the objectives, and the results of the deliverables, methodology. We'll have a project approach or implementation strategies, Then we'll have also finally the monitoring and evaluation. So we'll work together step by step. For example, by next Saturday, we're going to put you to the groups immediately after this. And then by next Saturday, we'll just want to first get to your topic. So you may need to consult over the week, and then you're able to identify a topic and the problem that you're addressing, and most likely also you need to highlight the objectives. So if you can do that part, then we'll discuss that for some time before we can now move on to the other areas. So we'll be guiding you, and also we'll be discussing this in class so that we can also have contribution from the other groups just to help refine whatever we are building together. So that's the concept of the project proposal. You can look at it from the organization, or you can look at it from the community. Look at something maybe you can possibly even implement after this, or something that you can be adapted. If you're doing it for an organization, maybe something that they can opt to adapt in their systems if it can work. So think about long term, and also think about something that can start, and maybe something that can also be sustainable. So let me know if it's clear, if the issue of project proposal is clear, or is there any clarification that you may require me to make? Is it clear from the explanation? Is it clear, the team? Let me know if it's clear. Kama iko sawa, you can just put a thumbs up, and I'll know that we are good to go. We're good to go. Yeah, thank you, Fred. So Fred, you're saying we are good to go. How about Sammy? Sammy, you're okay? Mary, you're saying you're good. Richard, I trust you're okay. So we'll maybe, if there is any clarification, we can still do it on the chat, on the WhatsApp chat. Otherwise, thank you so much for making time just to have this kind of interaction. It's our hope that we're becoming better as leaders. We're becoming more competent, we're becoming more dynamic. We are learning at least something that is shaping our thinking about leadership, and also something that we can be able to share with the people that we are leading within our leadership space. So thank you so much. And I just want us to pause there for today. Mr. Mwangi, thank you for always coming on board to give moral support to our cohorts. We really appreciate your participation. Otherwise, unless there is any comment, yeah, thank you too. Unless there is any comment, I'll want us just to say, conclude with the words of grace, and then we pause for today. So let's unmute, and then just share the words of grace together. So we can unmute. Okay, so may the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ and the love of God and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us now and forevermore. Amen.
And forevermore.
Amen.
Wish you a blessed night, everyone. Thank you so much.
Same to you. Good night.